Welcome back to The Player's Perspective, a podcast hosted by Miller Kopp and powered by Hoosiers Connect. As the official NIL collective of IU Athletics, Hoosiers Connect provides exclusive access to IU student athletes, offering fans an inside look at their lives both in and out of competition. Tune in weekly to hear stories and perspectives from the incredible athletes that make Hoosier Nation proud.
Goode, somebody that you played against multiple times on different teams in the Big Ten and is kind of in a similar situation now that you were in, transferring from Northwestern to Indiana, him going from Illinois to IU. Now, this is kind of your first time talking to him a little bit. Like, you played pickup basketball with him maybe once or twice?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Luke, our conversation with Luke was, well, the conversation with Luke was a blast. I got a lot of information on Illinois and Underwood that I was not aware of before, and kind of how they do things, and which was interesting to me. I was kind of selfish in this episode in that I asked him questions as just a basketball junkie about what his thoughts are and what his experiences are, and going to NCAA tournaments, winning, Big Ten championships, and how that relates to his, time here, his last year here.
And
so
you guys are like old heads now.
Well, he's definitely old. I'm out of school, so I'm actually now in the young group as well. So as an older guy, though, he talked about kind of his experiences and how he's trying to lead moving forward, and it was cool to hear his perspective on that. And, hopefully offered up some good info.
Well, your first one under your belt. You feel good about it?
I'm excited. I think this episode with Luke is gonna be a good starter, and from here it's only gonna go up. All right, Luke. Is it Luke Good or Goody?
Goody.
I knew that. I'm just kidding. So you're a senior, right?
I am. Yeah. This is my fourth year.
Fourth year. You didn't get the COVID year?
I didn't know. I was the year after. Yeah, but hopefully I can get another year because I broke my foot my sophomore year and only played 10 games. So,
Dude.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah,
exactly.
well, knock on wood there.
So hopefully I get a fifth year, but we'll see.
I feel like
this is my last one for sure right now. So
yeah. So what was it like? Obviously, I played against Illinois and Champaign. What is Champaign like? Because I know what Bloomington's like, but I've always had a weird Champaign seems like it's just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it?
I mean, it is. It's surrounded by a bunch of fields and stuff, but it's kind of like every other Big Ten campus for the most part. It's kind of a big school, big college town, and kind of in the middle of nowhere. Because outside of Bloomington, there's really nothing to. I mean, Chicago was 2 hours from Champaign, so that's not bad.
Wow.
Indy's about an hour north of Bloomington, so both kind of in the middle of nowhere, but they both remind me a lot of each other. It's a very basketball-heavy school. I definitely think the fans are majority basketball fans, which is a great thing, kind of something that I was looking for and where I wanted to play next. And, people take great pride. This is basically a blue blood school. I mean, 5 national championships, and Illinois basketball has great history as well. No national championships, but just, teams that have been very successful in the past. So there's a lot of similarities in the basketball tradition and everything between the two programs and kind of the school aspect of everything.
How's your perspective changed over the years from a freshman now to being a senior, and potentially it being your last year?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get a sense of like how to take care of your body and what to do in practice and all these different things. One of the new things changed in schools is kind of how the head coaches and the assistant coaches run things and how the programs work. And you got to kind of move on the fly. You got to change on the fly, and that's kind of what I learned to adapt. Every year it's a different story. My freshman year, everybody knows how it is as a freshman. You were a freshman. It's tough. It's really tough. You don't see a lot of freshmen contributing to really good teams anymore. UConn had one in the starting lineup, and they won the national championship. We had Draven, who, played a little bit last year as a freshman, but it's tough to win with freshmen these days, and that's just the reality of it. Everybody's older in college basketball, and then sophomore year being hurt and having to go through the, having to get surgery on my foot and come back and do all those things, and then last year, Anybody who watched our team knew we were pretty good, and it was a fun year, and there were a lot of ups and downs, whether it was, the incident with Terrence or guys getting hurt, guys in and out of the lineup. There's just a lot of having to adapt to stuff that happens. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned is being able to, take what's thrown at you and move on to the next thing.
Dude, that's gold, especially as a shooter.
Yeah.
Especially as a guy who shoots the ball, and like that's like the main kind of like part of like the puzzle that you do. And obviously you do other things, but like that's your bread and butter. If someone was to ask you, what's your game, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say I'm a shooter.
Yeah.
That's
And then
fine.
everything else off that is kind of a, branching off that. But like when you were a freshman, because I know I've got stories about my freshman year that I was just like, my head was spinning. Is there a time your freshman year where it kind of hit you and you were like, oh crap, this is different. Or like this is a different level, or this is a new, this is really like a new world I'm in.
Yeah, it's the speed. I think the speed of the game really catches up to you. Freshman year, you go into practice in the summertime, the 8 weeks that we just had, and you get confidence playing with your teammates, and you think to yourself, man, I can do it. And then you get into a game, 20,000 fans are watching, you're like, man, this is crazy. I think I shot more air balls my freshman year from three than I ever had my whole life before that, and that's real. But it's a lot about learning. I think freshman year, that's really what you got to do, and take the end of the years following. But it's a lot different when you play in front of 20,000 people. I can tell you that. It's like all the dreams, all the stuff you grew up, waiting to happen and wishing to happen. It all comes to fruition in that moment, and sometimes the ball goes in, and sometimes it doesn't hit anything. So, but I haven't shot many air balls since then. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because my freshman year, I was from the left corner, and we do like 5-on-0 offense, and left corner, I think my first summer practice, I hit the side of the backboard on a three, and a corner three, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're probably so embarrassed, huh?
And my
Around all the
coach
guys?
said something, and I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And so now, and then every other time, I would get like a swing, one more, and I'd be in that corner. Dude, it was the tightest three-pointer of my life.
Don't hit the backboard.
Of my life. Is there one moment or like one air ball that like stuck out to you? Because that one for me, it was my first one, and I'm like, and it was funny because my senior year here, that was like where I shot all my threes because Trace was on the left, the right block and throwing with his left hand. Is there like one moment or one three or one game where it kind of was like, oh shit?
Yeah, I actually have a funny story, a really funny story. This is actually happened here. So this is my first time coming back to Assembly Hall. I've been an Indiana kid, grew up an Indiana fan. Parents went there, for people that don't know. My dad played football here, but I was very excited, very nervous, obviously. It'd be like you going home and playing, against your state school. And I get into the game, I check into the game, right? Come down, hit a three. I was like geeked. I was like, okay, we're good. We're settled into the game.
Yeah.
So that year I was getting like 8-10 minutes a game, just spot minutes, coming in to shoot the ball. Second half, our foreman, Jake Grandison. Do you remember him?
Yep.
Jacob Grandison.
Oh, yeah. Went to Duke.
So for some reason, he was hesitant that game. Great shooter.
Yeah.
Great shooter. He was a really good player. Very hesitant to shoot that game. And I look at our assistant coach. I said, Coach, put me in. I'm going to hit this three if it comes out to me. Okay, we come down. I throw it into Kofi. You guys double team or something. I get an open three. Pull up, air ball like 5 feet short. It goes out of bounds, and my assistant coach looks at me and just shakes his head. I said, Coach, that's on me. I get taken out the next dead ball, and I don't go back in the game. So that was probably one of the moments. But I hit a three, so I went.
As long as you made one.
50%, right?
50%.
Yeah,
no one remembers
you can't hate on that.
the 0 for 1.
Yeah.
Dude, that is hilarious.
Yeah,
Especially because
so-
you told your coach, hey, Coach, put me in. Trust me.
I told him, I
Trust
said,
me.
if I get the ball right there, I'm going to hit a shot. And I pulled up, I airballed it. So, yeah, it was that. We won the game, though, by like 15, so if you were wondering.
Sorry,
And we
Hoosiers.
won the Big Ten that year, so.
Sorry, Indiana. No, hey, you guys had a good team.
Thank you.
But air balls happen, bro.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's embarrassing, too, but it is what it is.
You just got to hope, like, the next play starts quick.
No
Especially,
doubt.
like, if it goes out of bounds, that's the worst.
Yeah,
But
the
if
walk
it-
to the bench was pretty bad, pretty embarrassing.
Dude, I bet the fans were giving you some crap.
Oh, for sure. I heard it a lot from behind the bench.
Yeah. That's understandable.
No doubt.
Can't be mad at it. But what's it like now playing against this place versus now being a part of it I know obviously like it's got to mean a lot, but what was it like in terms of when you were in high school? Like, what was the idea? What did Indiana mean like to basketball players in the state? Because I know for me, like football in Texas was, Texas A&M and UT were like looked at as this like, gold star, like put it on a pedestal type of deal. But what was that like in Indiana for Indiana basketball?
Yeah, growing up as an Indiana basketball player, I'm sure Anthony said this before, and Trey, guys that have played high school basketball in the state at high level. You kind of, your goal is to get to IU or Purdue. I would definitely say that. So it was a pretty cool opportunity when I was in the portal when IU reached out. It was one of those things. It was like, you know what? I see a hole in the team. They need a shooter, a knockdown shooter. They've got playmakers and a big guy. It makes sense. And, being able to come back to a place that I grew up going to. I mean, I have countless pictures on my phone of me at IU games and me in Indiana gear and all this different stuff. So having the opportunity is pretty cool. Throughout the years at Illinois, everybody always asks me, what's the toughest place to play? Where's your favorite place to play on the road? And my top three stays the same. It's IU, Purdue, and Rutgers, those three. So the rack is crazy. That's number 3. Yeah. And then IU, Purdue is 1 and 2. It's very close. I mean, Indiana's a lot bigger, but Mackey's, I feel like they're on top of you.
Yeah,
when they're cheering. So it's
like a bowl.
it's a crazy feeling. So being able to play in front of the fans and they cheer for you instead of cheer against you when you airball a shot 5 feet short, it's gonna be nice. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, exactly.
But it's that build up is like
it's good when you hit it though.
Oh, when you hit it, it's like it's
nothing
electric.
Nothing better.
Yeah, it's electric. But I know you do like I know you also have stuff you do off the court.
Yeah.
Which I definitely want to hit on because I'm the same way, and I've been able to be very, very taken care of by the Indiana alumni and coaches and everybody as a whole from here because I've put myself out there and done things outside of basketball and things off the court. So like, what do you have going on off the court in terms of whether it's business or other things you're doing?
Yeah, well, they'll get to know me is I'm a super, I love being around people. I love being around my friends, my family. I'm always doing stuff. I'm a very high energy guy. I don't like to just sit in my room and watch TV like a lot of people. I love to be outside, excuse me, as much as possible. I love to golf, love to fish. In the wintertime, I like to go hunt with my dad and my friends and stuff like that. And then I graduated from the Gee School of Business at Illinois with a finance degree in 3 years. So really trying to work on that. Use the opportunity of NIL to set myself up for the future. I think, in today's world, a lot of kids don't understand financial literacy, and I'm working on something right now that'll help people, a lot with stuff like that. But just trying to, do stuff to set myself up for the future because I'm realistic. The ball's gonna stop dribbling one day, and you gotta have, some money to be able to raise a family on and keep your future on. So doing stuff like that has been a lot of fun. Learning all that, bouncing it off people. Illinois donors were great. I'm sure Indiana's are. I haven't gotten to meet a lot of them, but being able to talk to them, I talk to people from Illinois almost every day since I've been gone, which is great. It's great people over there, and I'll continue to have a relationship with them. But just learning from the very successful people that have done it before me, especially basketball alumni. There's a few at Illinois that are very successful that I've had multiple conversations with on how to build wealth. I think that's a big thing in today's world. We have more of a head start than 99% of college students. We come out of college, scholarship paid for everything, no debt, and now we have an excess amount of money. So it's how can you set yourself up for the future?
Yeah, man, the future is a weird thing to think about because you obviously want to be present in the moment because that's how you maximize what you have in front of you. But you also have to be aware that the future is coming no matter what. Like whether you like it or not, it's on its way. And so if you don't have that mindset and that awareness, then you'll get 5 years and 10 years down the line, and you'll realize that you squandered a bunch of time and opportunity. Especially like you said at Illinois, you had that, but Indiana's the same way. I'd say even more so. Like I spent 3 years at Northwestern, and my last 2 years here at Indiana have been like immensely, more transformative in terms of the people that have connected me to, things I want to do. So it's cool to hear you say that, man, because I know that not a lot of people have that mindset.
Yeah. So I don't know you as much. So I'm gonna ask you a question now. So what do you like to do off the court? Like, what are some of your hobbies?
Dude, you're interviewing me now.
I know.
That's good. That's good podcast.
See, you know a lot of these guys. You've been in the locker room with them. I don't really know you like that. So I need to hear stuff you like to do.
Dude, I'm similar to you, man. I don't watch TV. I don't watch shows. I'm not a big show guy. I'm a big movie guy. I like golfing. I like being outside. I feel like I'm always doing something. I'm always in motion. I feel like I'm always.
I love being around people. Just be around people.
Yeah, and that's one thing. That's why I've always been gravitated towards the idea of like entrepreneurship outside of basketball, because it's a way to connect to people and impact people, whether it's through videos or clothing. That's just my way of like getting connected to people, because I think it's sometimes playing basketball, and especially Indiana, you're put on this pedestal at times and you get disconnected from reality, which I think a lot of people, don't understand, and they forget to remember. Is it like you're the man on campus here, but also at the same time you're still another dude. Like when you go out to another city, you go out to LA or you go out to Oklahoma, no one's really gonna look at you like the people treat you here with such respect and all that stuff. So that's something that I've really been aware of. But just like you, man, I like to do all the stuff outdoors, because I think a lot of times in social media era, it's all too much online and not enough real substance and real like human connection, because it's all just done through the phone and stuff. So
no doubt.
Yeah. That's just a little bit about me, man. But
gotcha.
But yeah, dude, my 2 years we played against each other.
Yep.
That was
Couple
always
times, right?
Yeah. So what was if you remember, dude, what was the scout on me?
Scout on you.
Because I'm vaguely familiar with yours over the years.
We knew you liked to get out in transition and look for those early shots. We knew that Xavier was going to try and get you the ball. Jalen was going to try and get you the ball in transition. And we knew if we would double trace that you would be in the opposite corner.
Yep.
Those are the two things I remember.
just like
we
I
knew,
said.
and you really liked the pump fake pull up.
Yeah.
You did that a lot. The pump fake, one dribble mid range. I remember you did that to your left.
Yeah.
Put it on
that's
the ground.
good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I told you that corner with Trace going to his left hand, that was where I made, and I tell people still all the time, it's like that was where I probably scored 90% of my shots.
It's nice. It's going to be nice being with Balo this year, because I played with Kofi my freshman year.
Yeah.
And obviously I didn't get as much time my freshman year. Yeah. But being with Balo and Malik, guys that are that dominant in the post, it's going to be very nice.
I told you're gonna be able to have a a lot of like just thank yous to give out to those guys.
Facts.
Like running down the court, hey man, thanks bro, good pass,
no doubt,
appreciate you. That's how I'll always Trace. I'm like, dude, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Or when you get beat on defense and they're there to like smack it off the rim, they're like thanks bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good thing too. Like they'll be able to, it's gonna go both ways, because they're gonna get doubled a lot. Malik last year, I remember we played him and we didn't really double the post, but watching the film in other games when we would double the post, he was a good passer.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It kept guys in rotation, and when you have a knockdown shooter out there, I'm sure Trace was very grateful to have you out there.
Yeah. Because well, then you're put in different areas to where you're like kind of you're baiting your man to help or double.
And it gives confidence too. It's confidence for the big guys too. They know if they get doubled, then they got somebody to rely on to score.
Exactly.
The ball,
and vice versa for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, see that's why you got to have shooters and pieces around those big guys who can actually, do some things.
For sure. Yeah.
But but no, my scout on you. Let's see if I can remember. So I remember when you were maybe what was it, like freshman or sophomore?
It was my sophomore year. My first game back was here, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't play you when we were at Northwestern.
Maybe my freshman year, but I don't know if Yeah, I mean, that was just such a non-factor year for me. So, you know, how
We
it is,
sucked
yeah.
anyways in Northwest.
Yeah.
We sucked that year anyways. Oh, but I think it was, he's coming in, knockdown shooter. Don't let him get any threes off. Run him off the line. And he's crashing the O boards.
Yep. That's what they all said. Yeah.
He's crashing the O boards.
Yeah.
Why? Okay. Offensive rebounding is a mindset,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
It's not like it's a skill, but it's also just a mindset of like, I'm just going to go full head of steam and just try to just get a board.
Yeah.
Is that your mindset going in?
Yeah, well, the thing to me is I'm going to be one of the least athletic players on the court at any given time.
I don't know
So
what
I
that.
gotta
I don't know
play
what
the
that's
hardest.
like.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it is a mindset. You just got to go every time because the value of an extra possession in a basketball game, it's unbeatable. So I will say that was a great thing about Coach Underwood is he was so adamant on us going to the glass every single time because those extra possessions. I remember we played IU last year at home. I got an offensive rebound with like a minute and a half to go, gave us an extra possession. We ended up winning, which is a lot closer than it should have been last year. But just the value of an extra possession, and it's really not hard to do. You just run in there, and you know, it just takes a little extra effort. And at the end of the day, man, it goes a long way because you know you get a tip out, you get a put back. It's hard. You got a defense that guards for 25 seconds. You throw up some BS, and you go get the rebound. You know what I'm saying? And then you get an extra possession out of it, an extra bucket, and then it's good for the team, momentum, all that. So it's definitely one of those things that you can do that really impacts winning at the highest level.
Is that something that they taught? Because I know at UConn, I've listened to Hurley, and he said they teach all four guys. The guy who point guard or whatever, we'll get back. But like all four guys, they teach crash. I know Michigan State's the same way. Like they chart guys crashing on the O boards. Is that something they teach?
Yeah. Yep.
And like really emphasize?
Yep. It's everybody goes except the shooter. Every single person goes except the shooter. I think that's something that they're moving towards this year at IU too, because it's so much value in it. And one of the cons against it is defensive transition, but those guys can't get out in transition if you got the ball, or if you crash in the glass because they got to box out there in the paint. It just takes a little bit more of effort, and that's just winning basketball at the end of the day. I've been fortunate enough to win all 3 years, been to the tournament all 3 years, played in the tournament games, and won 2 Big Ten championships, Elite Eight. I've been on teams that are really good, and all those teams offensive rebound. It's crazy. Seriously, we were, I think, top 10 in the country my freshman year and last year in offensive rebounding. And just when you get that, it's just extra possessions, extra buckets, easy buckets too. You get it under the rim with most of these rebounds, you just put it right back up. You know what I'm saying? So it just adds to that winning culture.
Well, like you said, it's an effort thing. It's not a skill thing, and it's like what you emphasize. If you emphasize it and you hold people to it, that's just the standard.
Exactly.
And it's easy. It's something that you can easily track, whether you get all the O boards or not. Like just the fact that you go and crash the boards is like crazy, because people, like you said, people talk about the like transition defense, how your transition defense is going to suffer because you crash the boards. That actually is not the case, because if you think about it like this, if a team like, for example, we would go into a game against you guys or Michigan State knowing that you guys sent all four.
Yeah.
Like really send all four to the glass, and not just like guys just kind of waiting around. Like the 4 guys are crashing the glass. Knowing that, it puts us on our heels, because we're like, okay, well, we need to box out first instead of get out and transition.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's counterintuitive, but at the same time, like it puts you on offense while you're on defense, which is the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. So you said you like Dan Hurley, right? You listened to a lot of his stuff.
Oh,
Do you think that was the best college team you've seen in recent history this year?
Has to be.
You think so?
Has to be.
Yeah.
The second best team that I played was
I want
John.
to hear it. Who was the best team you played in your time in college?
John Beeline's team at Michigan.
Was that
My freshman year.
Yeah.
Dude, they were unbelievable.
So was that
Unreal.
Isaiah Livers? Give me some names.
Livers, Brazdakis.
Brazdakis. Was that Mo
they
Wagner?
had Mo Wagner. They had Maybe Mo was the next year.
Was that his last year?
They had Teskey.
Beeline's last year? Yeah, Teskey.
They had Teskey. They had that was Beeline's last year.
Okay.
They had Jordan Poole. That was when they were at Final Four.
Is that when he hit that game winner against Houston? That was that year? Okay, yeah, they had a good team.
They were, and then they had these other like two quick guards, Xavier Simpson, who was like the best college point guard you could have, like shared it. But it was nuts playing them, man. It was like I was in a maze. I was lost.
Yeah.
But it was cool because they were so good. But then and I got recruited by him, and Beeline was really just like a different dude. He was like kind of like a savant. Had his own language. Had his own like basketball language.
Yeah.
And like for example, like a waffle. I'll probably get this wrong, but like a front pivot is a waffle. A reverse pivot is a pancake.
So he just had different.
He just had
words,
his whole
terms.
like footwork was like, breakfast food, or like say you're playing a split game out of the corner, and you're setting a pin down for a wing, that's like the jungle. He's like, so go to this. So now you guys play in the jungle.
Yeah.
It's just like weird stuff like that. But when you played them, you're like, your head's spinning. Yeah. It was definitely they're the best team. Yeah. What about you?
So I think UConn this year.
UConn was the best team you played this year.
There's two. UConn this year. I mean, they had 4 pros. They had 4 guys that were drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you don't see that. You don't see that much. 4 guys that were drafted and some really good role players. And then we, my freshman year, we lost to the Houston team with Marcus Sasser, Tremont Mark, Jamal Shed. They had a bunch of bigs that were good. They had Kyler Edwards from Texas Tech. Remember him?
Yep.
He played there. And then they had another lefty. I mean, they were so good. It was so good. They were a 4 seed. We were 5 seed. And, I mean, I think they went to the Final Four or something that year. But those were the 2 teams for sure.
Talk about old boards.
Houston. Yeah. I mean, talk about old boys. That team right there, they crashed the glass for sure. But I think I'm going to give you my best player I played against.
Best player.
Benedict Mathurin.
Really?
Yes. Freshman year, too. We played Arizona at home. He came in and dropped like 28 on us.
Was he a freshman at that time,
Just
too?
effortless. Sophomore.
Okay.
Freshman or sophomore. He was younger.
Yeah.
I think he was a sophomore because he's a year
yeah.
older than me. Yeah. Yeah. So that was probably the best player that we played. Or Trey. I mean, Trey's had 35 against us.
Yeah, I was going to say.
At home. We didn't double. So I mean, that was a bad game plan, but he had 35. So
yeah.
So those are a couple good performances.
What about best player you played with?
Great question. I mean, Terrence is elite.
Yeah.
Terrence I think he should have been a top 10 pick this year.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because he's my teammate. I think skill-wise and what he brings, I think he's one of the best I played with. Let me think. Trent Frazier was one of the best non-NBA guys that I played with. I mean, I remember him. He was a dog.
He was a guy that you just did not want to play against.
A dog.
Like, you just don't enjoy playing
Guards,
against that guy.
Plays 40 minutes a game. Yeah. Guards, scores, does everything. He was great to play with. I loved playing with Coleman. He's super smart, a little emotional, but great player. A lot of fun playing with him. There's just been a lot of great guys that I played with. But last year was definitely it was the most fun year I've ever had playing basketball. Yeah. There's just something about getting to that second weekend. Dude. Miles just walked in. He couldn't get to the second weekend. They got knocked off by Iowa State. We took care of him in the Sweet 16. So he can talk about that on his podcast. But being able to bring that winning culture to IU and understanding what it takes to win, I think is going to help. Myself with the team and the team in general. I think. Knowing what it takes to get to the second weekend to win a Big Ten championship, seeing it before and being a part of it, I think will go a long way this year.
I think so too, dude. Thank you, brother.
It was fun. Yes, sir. Of course. Great to talk to you. Little mic tap?
Yeah, just tap the tips.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, when you transferred here as were you junior or senior?
I was a junior. 2 years left.
And so you were kind of transitioning into a leadership role, but you were going to a new school. Did you feel any pressure or kind of anxiety around trying to lead guys that you hadn't really been around for a while, but you felt a need to be in that position?
Leading early on is always, it's a double-edged sword. You want to be a leader and step up as a leader if that's who you are. You can't force it. Because some people, I believe, are meant to just be soldiers and follow the leader. And for me, it was about just finding my voice and understanding that what I'm talking about or what I'm preaching, I'm practicing. whether it's being on time, whether it's working hard every day. And, that's the biggest thing, especially as a transfer. You have to understand that you can't come in making all these demands of your teammates until you show them how important it is that you do it too.
What are like those first like couple weeks of like being a transfer, like when you come in the summer and stuff like that, you like Luke has also gone through at this point, kind of touched on that a little bit during your podcast, but like, how was that?
The first few weeks of transferring into a new school are wild. First off, at Indiana, you get bombarded with the social media attention and following.
The fans are crazy.
But it's wild, a good crazy.
It's a good crazy. It's energizing. You're motivated. It's always a good time.
You feel immediately just like you've got way more clout once you sign and they post you.
Did it get to your head?
No, it didn't get to my head. Maybe like for a week though. I was like, well, I'm the man. But you get just bombarded with attention. And then you get here and you're like, okay, I got to move in. And then you move in and then your parents are like, all right, see ya. And then they close the door to go to the airport and drive off. And you're sitting in your room like, okay, now we got to get to work. So when practice starts, that's when everything just kind of goes away. And now it's just about basketball. But everything leading up to that is kind of a whirlwind.
You played Luke multiple times throughout your college career. You guys kind of talked about that a little bit. And on top of that, same position, both shooters. What was that like to talk to somebody else who had been through that Big Ten experience that is essentially very similar to what you've done in your time in the Big Ten?
Me and Luke really connected on being a shooter, especially in the Big Ten, as a freshman and what that's like. He tells a really funny story about his air ball in Assembly Hall. And kind of the story behind that was pretty funny. And I had another one too where, I told him about my air ball kind of, let's just say, consistency it was in practice my freshman year.
Big Ten environments are insane.
Big Ten environments are nuts. My first ever was Indiana. My first ever Big Ten game was at Indiana. And I'll never forget it. It's probably part of the reason I ended up coming here because it was so nuts. And it was like imprinted in my mind. And everything under that or after that was just kind of not even close.
Not even Illinois?
No chance. No chance.
So you're saying Luke will probably like it better here than...
He'll definitely like it better here.
And then just like those moments where you're in, maybe it's a hostile environment like the RAC or Illinois or something like that, versus like the moment here. I remember you and Luke had talked about like when you shoot a three and then there's like this moment. And then like if you make it, it's like unreal as a shooter because like that's what you're out there to do. And that's what, you're put in the game to go do. And that validation from 17,000 people has to be incredible.
It's nuts. He and I were talking about how the fans will add to the game, will add to the score. Like it's like we always say when you're going to, or you always hear, like when you go to Kansas, they just have a 8-0 run in them just because they're fans. And people say the same thing about us in Indiana is that when you go there, there's just going to be a 5 to 9-0 run where it feels like you're down by 20.
Especially when somebody like hits a three.
Exactly.
And then like you feel the momentum getting behind you in the crowd. And it's just like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
The best feeling in the world as a shooter is when people know you're open and they know the ball is going to find you. And it's like everybody stands up and they're putting their hands up and you hear the, oh, and it goes in. And you just run down the court. You don't even hear anything. You just are running. For me, I'm fist bump and I'm yelling and who knows what.
I took photos on the sideline for IU basketball for the 2 years that you were here. And like, I have so many photos of you running down the court with your tongue sticking out.
That's another classic.
Non-headband and headbands too.
Yeah.
All of them.
That's how you know we're rolling. Is if the tongue comes out after 3. That's it.
Okay, and then you and Luke kind of talked about, it's always an unfun question to talk about it because nobody wants to talk about like life after ball and stuff like that. But he's a graduate now, so are you, and you guys had kind of talked just like, what does that look like outside of basketball, and kind of what exploring other passions look like past basketball, and like this podcast for you is kind of a little bit of your passion outside of basketball.
Well, with NIL, Luke has been really smart and understands the impact that it has and can have leading up to, the real world and when basketball stops. And he understands that it's about saving and putting your money to work for you. And so he does a bunch of stuff, investments and some entrepreneurial stuff. So me and him talked about that, connected on it. And it was cool to hear and refreshing to hear somebody else, like myself, that's really into that type of stuff.
Yeah. And then one more thing, like that I noticed while you guys were talking was this really interesting kind of chemistry dynamic that came up with this year's team that could kind of be compared to like your last year with Race and Trace and kind of being leaders. It seems like, again, there's so many leaders and so many good, older, experienced guys on this team that are going to help everybody kind of gel together and stuff like that. And Luke seems like a major key in that, just because he has so much experience in the Big Ten, especially with winning, going to the second round or, second weekend of the NCAA tournament, winning a Big Ten championship, being in those, sudden death moments where you have to win this basketball game, have to make that shot. And that seems like something that's going to be huge for this team and stuff like that.
What I really liked about Luke and I's conversation is how in depth we went about winning in basketball and how his experiences with that are going to, carry on over to, this team. And whether it's from rebounding the ball or, which we go into depth about, is like for 5 minutes straight, we talk about rebounding.
Just crash those O boards.
Crash the glass. And how there's nothing like being on getting to the second weekend. And I don't know what that's like, but I know that there's something to say about being in winning culture and winning programs, and that stuff carries on. And Luke, talked about it and explained his mentality with it and how it's just stuck with him.
We hope you loved this episode of Players Perspective. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Stay connected with Hoosiers Connect on social media for even more exciting content featuring IU student athletes. Until next time, Hoosier Nation.